The Galactic Council never feared Earth. To them, humanity was loud, emotional, and messy. Earth had no ancient weapons, no galactic fleets, and no strong political power. The Council believed humans would either destroy themselves or stay stuck on their small blue planet forever. That belief ended the day the Zarketh Empire attacked Earth. The Zarketh were known across the galaxy for their cruelty. They didn't conquer planets, they erased them. Their ships were massive, black as the void, and covered in energy weapons that melted steel and stone alike. When they turned their attention to Earth, no one expected humans to last more than a day. The Council watched from a safe distance, thinking it would be over quickly. They were wrong. Zarketh ships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. Within minutes, they fired on major cities: London, Beijing, New York. Fire rained from the sky. The ground shook. Billions screamed. But Earth didn't fall. That was the first surprise. The second surprise came when the Zarketh ships began exploding, one by one. There were no signs of return fire, no visible weapons, no fleet rising from Earth's oceans, just silence, then destruction. Whole warships went dark and vanished. Some simply turned into ash mid-flight. The rest turned to flee and never made it out of the solar system. Every Zarketh ship was gone within 3 hours. The Council was silent. How could Earth, a planet with basic space tech, defeat a force that had wiped out entire star systems? No one had an answer. The few alien spies who had survived on Earth were asked for reports. They had none. Every device used to track Earth's response had failed. Even advanced AI couldn't find a trace of what destroyed the Zarketh fleet. The Council called an emergency meeting. Every major species attended. Holograms flickered, languages mixed in the air. Fear was heavy. Representatives demanded explanations. Some shouted for war. Others suggested full retreat from the human sector. One voice, however, rose above the noise. It was a human. General Rhodes stood calmly before the Council, dressed in a plain black uniform. He wasn't tall or loud, but when he spoke, everyone listened. "You want to know how we won?" Rhodes said. "We'd like to know too." The room fell quiet. He continued. "We don't have super weapons. We didn't send a fleet. We didn't even know they were coming until it started. But something fought back. Something used our fear, our pain, our rage," a Council member interrupted. "Are you saying Earth has an unknown defense system?" Rhodes shook his head. "No system, no plan. It just happens." Confusion spread. How can a war be won without a strategy? Without a weapon? Rhodes looked around the chamber. "You think we understand how we win? We don't. That's the problem." A recording was played of the last Zarketh warship before it exploded. Static. Screaming. One phrase repeated by the alien commander before silence. "We saw nothing. We only felt fear." The Council didn't understand. How could fear destroy ships? Later that night, a secret message was sent from one Council leader to another. It read, "If humanity does not know how it wins, what if it's not humanity doing the fighting?" Back on Earth, survivors rebuilt in silence. There were no celebrations, no victory parades. People mourned the lost, repaired the cities, and returned to work. But in every human's eyes was the same look. Confusion mixed with something else. Like they had heard a voice in the dark whispering, "Not yet." And in space, far beyond Earth's solar system, an old machine woke up. Its sensors flickered. It scanned Earth and paused. Then it spoke, in a language long forgotten. "They are not ready, but they remember." No one knew what that meant. Not the Council, not the humans. But one thing was now clear to the entire galaxy. Earth did not win by force. It didn't win by chance. It won by something no one could see, and that scared everyone more than any weapon ever could. The war nobody expected had begun a story no one could understand. The war was over, but the questions had only just begun. The Galactic Council gathered. again this time with fear in their voices. They had studied thousands of wars over the centuries. Battles had patterns, victories had reasons. But Earth's victory made no sense. The Zarketh Empire had vanished without a trace, and no one, not even Earth, knew how it happened. Deep inside the Council's main archive, analysts searched for answers. They looked at old battle footage, news reports, and sensor data. But there was nothing. Every camera, every probe, and every drone had gone dark during the attacks. The only thing left was silence. Over and over, their records showed one clear pattern. Ships entered Earth's space, then nothing. No wreckage, no survivors, no signals, only fear. Some of the Council believed it was a trick. They accused Earth of hiding a secret weapon. Maybe something ancient, or something forbidden by the Treaty of Stars. Others said no. It was something else. Something stranger. One scientist, a Zitharan named Dral Vor, spent weeks studying what little was left from the Zarketh fleet. A single cracked hull piece had been found floating near Saturn. Burn marks covered it. Not from fire, but from something unknown. Dral Vor tested it again and again. Every machine that touched it either broke or melted. This is not from a human weapon, he told the Council. This is not from any weapon at all. They asked him what it was from. He said, fear. The Council laughed. But the laughter didn't last. Across the galaxy, other races who had once fought small wars with Earth began to disappear from records. Whole empires were simply gone. Data wiped, planets empty, only whispers remained. A small alien ship entered Earth's space, hoping to study the planet in secret. It sent no messages and hid behind Earth's moon. It was never seen again. The last signal it sent back said, "We hear something, a low sound. It's inside our heads." Then, silence. The Council ordered the creation of a super AI, designed to scan the patterns of Earth's victories. This AI had cracked ancient codes and solved deep space puzzles. But when it was connected to the human war data, it behaved strangely. It paused. Then it asked a question. Do you fear death? Before anyone could answer, the AI shut itself down. Its core melted. No one could fix it. That was when some Council members started to panic. Others became obsessed. An old Zarn researcher claimed she had found the truth. She stood before the Council with shaking hands and wide eyes. It's not about ships, she said. It's not about weapons. It's about humans themselves. What do you mean? A general asked. They don't need a plan, she whispered. They are the plan. The room fell silent. She explained how human brains worked differently. Their emotions, their instincts, their sudden actions, things other species saw as weakness, were actually something powerful, unpredictable, dangerous. They don't win because they're smarter, she said. They win because the universe responds to them. What universe? A counselor asked. The researcher only said, the part we forgot. Meanwhile, on Earth, people continued to live their lives. No one celebrated the victory. They didn't understand what had happened either. Some believed it was luck. Others believed in something darker. In a quiet room in a human military base, a general reviewed a report. It showed that no commands were given during the Zarketh attack. No weapons were used. No orders recorded. Yet somehow, the enemy died. All of them. He stared at the report for a long time. Then he whispered, "We didn't win. Something won for us." Back in space, far from Earth, a small council ship patrolled a forgotten sector. It found a broken satellite, ancient and rusted. Somehow, it was still transmitting a message. It repeated a single sentence in a cold human voice: "Do not follow, do not question, do not wake what sleeps beneath." The council ship turned and left that sector forever. And still, across the galaxy, the same question grew louder. How does humanity win wars? Even now, no one knew the answer, not even the humans. The galaxy had changed. Everyone felt it. Traders spoke in hushed voices, old enemies stayed quiet, even pirates avoided Earth's sector, not because of power or fleets or laws, but because of something else, something no one could see. Some said Earth had made a deal with an ancient force. Others believed humans had awakened something buried deep in their minds. The only thing everyone agreed on was this: something answers when Earth is attacked, and no one wants to find out what it is. The Galactic Council sent a small team to investigate further, not soldiers, scholars, historians, and mind readers. Their mission: study Earth's history and find the truth behind the impossible victories. Among the team was a young empath named Vela. Her species could feel the emotions of others like reading a book. She had studied many worlds before, but none like Earth. From the moment she entered Earth's orbit, she felt something: fear, pain, and something deeper, like a voice whispering just beneath the surface of every human mind. She tried to explain it to the others. "It's not just emotion," she said. "It's pressure, like something is watching through them." The others dismissed her. They began their research, scanning ancient wars, testing Earth's atmosphere, visiting ruins. But the deeper they looked, the stranger things became. In a small human town destroyed during the Zarketh attack, they found strange symbols burned into the stone. Not written by human hands. No human remembered seeing them, but they were there, glowing faintly, pulsing like they were alive. One symbol matched no known language, but when Vela touched it, she saw something: a battlefield, a broken sky, and a shape, tall, shadowed, made of smoke and light. It stood behind a human soldier as he screamed in rage. And then, everything around him died. She fell back, shaking. The team returned to their ship, afraid. They tried to leave Earth's orbit, but their engines wouldn't start. Everything was working fine, yet the ship simply refused to move. One of the engineers whispered, "I think it wants us to see something first." That night, Vela had a dream. She stood in a dark place, cold, silent. She wasn't alone. A voice echoed, not in her ears but inside her thoughts. "They suffer. We answer." "Who are you?" she asked. Not who, what. She saw images, wars, deaths, fires, but also human faces, crying, angry, afraid. Every time they broke, the voice rose. "We are born in the crack of their pain. We feed on their despair. We protect what they love by destroying what they fear." She woke up screaming, the CA. Team left Earth the next day. As soon as their ship reached orbit, the engines started on their own. No one asked why. When they returned to the council, their report was short. They spoke nothing of dreams or whispers. Only Vela gave a warning. "Do not let them feel too much," she said. "Because when they break, something else rises." The council didn't understand. Some laughed. Others called for war again. "We'll send a full fleet this time," one general said. "Crush them completely. That fleet never made it to Earth." All 74 ships vanished on the way. Their last message came from the lead captain. He was screaming, "Something is inside the hull, inside our minds. We're not alone. We're not all..." Silence. Back on Earth, a little girl stood, alone in a park. She stared up at the stars. Her parents had died in the Zarketh attack. She didn't speak much, but sometimes at night, she would hum a tune no one knew. And when she did, the lights in the sky flickered. Just for a moment. One soldier watching her whispered, "She doesn't even know what she's doing." No one does, and somewhere buried deep beneath Earth's crust, something moved. Slowly, patiently, waiting, watching. The humans didn't control it. They never did. But it walks with them, and when they cry, when they rage, when they break, it rises. And the galaxy still doesn't understand. How do humans win? They don't. Something else does, and it has only just begun. The council believed it needed more data, more research, more control, But no one asked the real question, not how does Earth win, but what happens if it loses? That was the mistake. After the Second Fleet vanished, fear spread through the stars. Worlds that had mocked humans now locked their borders. Empires that once ruled by fear now whispered about Earth in the dark. Rumors said Earth had made a deal with death itself. The council wanted answers, so they made another mistake. They sent a listener. Listeners were not soldiers. They were ancient creatures, grown, not born. Their minds reached across time and thought. They could read the past from a single drop of blood. The one they sent was called Urak, and it had listened to 1,000 dying stars. Urak landed quietly on Earth, in the ruins of an old battlefield near Chicago. He sat among broken steel and ash, closed his many eyes, and reached out, not with his hands, but with his mind. At first, he felt nothing. Then, something looked back. It wasn't human. It wasn't even alive in the way Urak understood. It was like touching a mirror made of screams and memory. Urak tried to pull back, but he couldn't. He began to see things. A boy trapped under rubble, whispering goodbye to his mother. A nurse watching hundreds die in silence. A soldier staring at the stars, begging for help that never came. Pain. Endless pain. But behind each memory stood a shadow. Not watching. Not helping. Just waiting. Then Urak saw the truth. It wasn't that humans had a weapon. It was that pain itself was the weapon. Something had bonded with them. Something that only moves when humanity suffers deeply enough. A creature? A force? Even Urak could not say. But it had rules. It didn't come when they were angry. It came when they were broken. Urak tore himself away, his body shaking. He tried to send a message back to the council, but his voice wasn't working. His thoughts wouldn't form. All he could write before collapsing was, "They are not alone. They never were." The council read the message, but they didn't believe it. "Stories," one elder spat. "The galaxy has always feared ghosts in the dark, so they tried something new. They didn't attack Earth. They took a child, a boy, age 11. His name was Jamie. He had no family left. He lived in one of Earth's shelters. A silent, kind child. They took him in the middle of the night using a gravity-folding ship. Clean, fast, no trace. They brought him to a hidden station on the edge of known space. The council planned to see what would happen if Earth would fight for one child. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then, on the 4th day, the lights in the station began to flicker, doors locked by themselves, AI cores shut down. Crew began to hear whispers in languages they did not speak. Then Jamie began to scream. He screamed without stopping. Not in anger, in sorrow. His voice echoed through metal, through space, through minds, and in that moment, it came. Not in ships, not in weapons, in silence. The station's walls began to bleed darkness. Cold filled every room. Scientists and soldiers fell to the ground, their minds shattering from fear. No creature attacked them. Nothing touched them. They just knew. Something had arrived. Something old. In the final moments, the council's cameras caught a figure on the edge of the boys. Cell, tall, thin, made of flickering shadow. It leaned in close to Jamie and whispered something. Then the station exploded. There was no blast, no fire. It simply vanished. Later, Jamie was found in a field near where he had been taken. Unharmed. Sleeping. No one spoke to him. No one dared. The council fell into silence. Because they finally understood. It wasn't a question of how humanity wins. It was a warning. Never make humanity feel hopeless. Never make them break. Because when they do, they don't. Fight back. Something else fights for them. And now, the galaxy was left with only one question. What happens when that something doesn't want to go back to sleep? The council was scared but not ready to admit it. They called emergency meetings, changed protocols, and placed a silence ban on anything related to Earth's incident. But fear eats through walls, and soon other empires heard what had happened. Instead of avoiding Earth, they tried to copy it. The idea was simple. If something helped humans win, maybe others could use it too. So the council built a secret lab, not in any empire's territory, but in the empty space between galaxies, far from noise, far from witnesses. They called it Project Echo. There, they took what they believed made the thing on Earth rise: pain, loss, emotion, and tried to recreate it. At first, they used machines, artificial suffering, simulated minds trapped in endless loops. But nothing happened. Then they moved to real people. They kidnapped small groups from less protected planets, isolated them, broke them, forced them into pain, fear, and grief. All recorded, all watched. It was the darkest thing the galaxy had done in centuries, but still, nothing came. The scientists were confused, angry. "It worked for humans," one shouted. "Why not for them?" An old xenobiologist who had studied Earth long ago said something quiet. "Maybe it doesn't answer suffering. Maybe it only answers love lost." They didn't listen. They brought in a human next, not from Earth, but from an old colony far beyond the galactic rim. A child again, a girl, age 10. They called her Subject, H1. They made her believe her family had died. They locked her in a small room. They made her cry. For weeks, nothing happened. Then she stopped crying. She started drawing pictures, strange, dark shapes in red ink. She whispered to herself. Sometimes she smiled at the walls, even when no one was there. One night, the lead scientist found every screen in the lab showing the same image: her face staring directly into the camera, eyes black. She was not in her room. Doors slammed shut. Alarms screamed. Then, silence. They found only one recording left. In the video, she sat in the middle of the control room. Behind her stood the same figure seen before on the council's station, tall, shadowed, flickering like it didn't belong to this universe. She whispered, "You can't copy it. It chooses." Then the footage ended. No one ever found the station again. It was erased from all star charts. Ships that went looking for it vanished. Back on Earth, the girl's mother woke up in the middle of the night. She had been mourning for years, thinking her child was dead. But that night, she found a new photo sitting on her table. It was a drawing of the family, together, smiling. She cried for hours. On a moon orbiting a dead planet, a group of ancient creatures, the Watchers, had been observing everything. They did not interfere in galactic matters, but they knew things few others did. They had watched stars be born, civilizations rise and fall. One of them spoke what the others feared to say. The humans were never chosen. They were the key, that thing. It was always locked inside them. We just didn't know where to look. The others asked, "Can it be destroyed?" The Watcher only shook its head. "You cannot destroy grief. You cannot stop memory, and you cannot kill something that feeds on the purest part of what we are: love and pain combined." In trying to copy Earth's secret, the galaxy had learned something terrifying. It isn't a weapon. It's a reflection. When humans are pushed past the edge, when their love turns into pain so deep it shatters their soul, something inside them wakes up. Not a god, not a monster. Something older. The stars whispered again. This time with fear, but also awe. And, somewhere, in a quiet forest on Earth, a boy picked up a strange black stone. It was warm, pulsing gently. He smiled. He didn't know why. But far above, hundreds of light years away, a council war room went dark. Every screen showed the same. Message, no sender, no origin, just 5 words. Don't try that again. The galaxy stopped attacking Earth, not because they made peace, but because they were afraid. But fear doesn't last forever. Years passed. No new wars. No more missing fleets. Humanity stayed quiet. Too quiet. Some called it peace. Others called it silence before a storm. The council thought maybe the threat had gone. Maybe the thing inside humans had gone back to sleep. Forgotten. So they pushed again. Not with ships, not with weapons, but with lies. They began spreading stories that Earth was faking everything, that no force had protected them, that it had all been illusions, weakness hiding behind tricks. They said humans weren't dangerous, just lucky, and when enough species believed it, the council made their move. They launched a test, not on Earth itself, but on a colony. A human world called New Sagan, orbiting a red dwarf, a peaceful place, scientists, farmers, families. The council sent a small, fast strike team, trained not to kill but to capture. To make a point, they thought if they could hold a colony, humiliate humans in front of the galaxy, the myth would break. They were right. It broke something, but not the myth. New Sagan didn't have an army, just a few old defense satellites and a local patrol crew. The invaders landed quickly, took over the comm station, locked down the cities. No one fought back, not at first, but deep under the ground in a hidden data vault, a woman named Dr. Ellis Varn was watching. She wasn't AI. Soldier. She was a historian. She had spent 20 years trying to understand Earth's defense response, the thing that had protected them. She called it the Shadow Protocol. Others laughed at her. Not anymore. Ellis made one call, one message. She didn't even say words. She just pressed a single command. The signal was old, simple, just a heartbeat pattern. Boom, boom, boom. It was first used during the fall of London, then in the siege of Titan. It meant one thing: we are losing. And we remember. The signal spread across the stars. It reached Mars, Europa, Luna, and then Earth. There was no reply. No army launched. No message returned, just silence. The council thought their plan had worked. Then New Sagan's sky cracked open, but not with ships, with light. It was midnight when it began. The stars above flickered. The invaders' ships lost power. Gravity twisted. Sound vanished. People began to cry, and they didn't know why. And then, they came. Not soldiers. Memories. Holograms of the fallen. Mothers clutching children. Old men with empty eyes. Girls holding burned dolls. Faces from Earth's history of suffering, projected into the skies. 10,000 years of pain. But these weren't just recordings. They moved. They stared at the invaders. They whispered. And when the soldiers aimed their weapons, nothing happened. Their arms wouldn't move. Their knees buckled. One by one, they dropped to the ground, screaming, not from pain, but from everything. Their minds filled with memories that weren't theirs. Grief that was too much to carry. The commander of the strike team begged for help over the comms. No reply. The last thing he saw before blacking out was a woman's face, wrinkled, tear-stained, standing over him. She said 4 words. Yui, made us remember. The council called an emergency session. Every member demanded answers. But no one had any. Their best minds had tried to understand Earth. Their best soldiers had tried to conquer it. Their best scientists had tried to copy it, and all had failed. Dr. Ellis Varn's signal had woken up more than history. It reminded the universe of something it had buried. Humanity never forgets. And when pushed, they don't just fight. They share the pain, not as a weapon, but as a truth. The truth is heavier than any gun, sharper than any blade, and once shared, it cannot be forgotten. As New Sagan's skies cleared, the survivors looked up. The lights faded, the memories vanished, and carved into the soil outside the city was a single phrase, burned into stone. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We survive. together. The council finally understood. This was the last time they would ever fight back. Because the next time, humanity wouldn't fight. The galaxy would fight itself. They thought it was over. After New Sagan, the council backed down. No more attacks, no more threats. Just silence. The kind that feels too heavy, like something is watching you from the dark. Earth didn't speak, didn't send messages, didn't explain anything. But something had changed. Across the galaxy, strange things started happening. Ships went off course not because of engines, but because they felt wrong directions. Whole crews waking up from dreams of cities they had never visited. Cities from Earth's past. Battlefields, orphanages, graves, memories no one asked for. It spread, first to the outer colonies, then deeper. Old machines started repeating words in dead human languages. AI systems refused commands they once followed. One even shut itself down, saying only, "I saw what they carry. I will not carry it." 2. The council blamed humans again, said it was another trick. But this time, it wasn't. Back on Earth, people were confused too. News channels showed strange patterns in the sky, lines of light, forming shapes only seen in war memorials. Children drew symbols they never learned. Soldiers cried in their sleep. Something had been released. Something old. Dr. Ellis Varn was one of the first to notice. After New Sagan, she had returned to Earth. She stayed quiet, watched, studied. Then, one night, she found a notebook that wasn't hers. It was sitting on her desk, leather-bound, no name. Inside were pages filled with memories, millions of them, written in hundreds of languages. Voices of soldiers, mothers, prisoners, scientists, all human, all broken, all real. She opened to the last page. Only one line. Now they know. Ellis realized the truth. The thing inside humanity, what others called a weapon, was never meant to fight. It was a wound, a deep, invisible scar across all human souls. One shared by every generation, every loss, every pain. Held tight, passed down. It wasn't magic, it wasn't tech, it was memory, alive, growing. When Earth was attacked, that wound opened. And instead of bleeding, it reached out. The council thought they triggered a weapon. They didn't. They pulled off the mask, and now the galaxy had seen what humans carry every day. But the scariest part? Now the galaxy carries it too. Whispers started across other species, protests, tears during speeches, dreams that felt too real. Feelings they didn't understand. Rage, regret, empathy. For the first time, the galaxy remembered things it had never lived. It began to change them. Some empires collapsed. Others opened their borders for peace. A few fled into deep space, afraid of becoming like the humans. But it was too late. Once you've felt it, you can't unfeel grief. Back in a quiet village on Earth, an old man sat under a tree. He had fought in Earth's last war. He remembered fire in the sky. He remembered silence after the last shot. A child sat beside him. "Grandpa," she asked, "did we win?" He looked up at the stars, then down at her bright eyes. "No," he said softly. "We just remembered louder than anyone else." In a hidden archive beneath the old UN building, a message played for the first and last time. It was meant to be used only if Earth lost. The voice was human, calm, old. "If you're hearing this, then they know. We never understood how we win, not fully, but we always did. Not through strength, not through force, but because pain for us isn't the end, it's the beginning." The screen went black. Far above, on a moon orbiting a blue gas giant, the Watchers gathered again, silent, afraid. "They didn't win," one whispered. "They changed the rules." "No," said another. "They reminded us what the rules always were." The last Watcher, oldest of them all, stared at Earth. "It's not about how humans win wars," he said. "It's about how they survive. Them. and make you carry them with them. A pause. Now we all do. For the first time in galactic history, there were no wars. Not because peace was declared, but because no one wanted to feel what humans feel. The galaxy learned what pain is, what love costs, and what happens when a species refuses to forget either. That's how humanity wins. Not with weapons, not with power, but with memory. And now, it belongs to everyone.